doing today is thinking about death and dying, and we're doing that because death and dying is such a taboo subject, and that's causing real issues. It's causing problems because we don't talk about it. We can't know what people want around their own death or the death of their loved ones. So we're not able to deliver those choices. I know, Lucy, that's fantastic. And one of the ways to sort of address that is to get out in the community and start conversations and start talking about what's really important to people around death and dying. So I'm keen that it's just a normal part of our life.
Talking about death, it's quite often described as a taboo. But actually, once I tell people I'm an undertaker, they can't stop talking about it. They love telling me about what they want for their funerals. The conversation that's difficult is to have that conversation with the people that you love. There are very few rules when it comes to funerals. There's some very fundamental basic laws, but apart from that, there are loads of choices. And being involved in making some of those choices while you're still alive makes it easier for your family when you do die.
I come from a family where we wouldn't really talk about death or plan for death. It's a very emotive subject, and it's easier to not think about it than it is to kind of address our own mortality. I think it's fantastic, and I've had such a brilliant response from people today talking about, actually for the very first time for some people, actually I'd love one of these, or I'd love this for my partner or my loved one, or just getting people to think about death in a planned and positive way has been a fantastic opportunity this morning.
It's not morbid to talk about death. It's very informative, and it can be very helpful when the time comes, so families know what the person wants and what to do for their loved ones.
So instead of having an invasive post-mortem, we use a CT scanner like you would find in any hospital. So we have a dedicated radiologist who works for the NHS, so he normally would look at living individuals. He looks at the scans and determines the cause of death.
I know it was very popular to talk about it during, say, the Victorian era, and then we just kind of forget about it and ignore it, but really it shouldn't be ignored.
I started off doing flowers because I did my brother-in-law's funeral flowers. So I think when people of your own sort of age die suddenly and it enters your life that way, I think you do face the idea of mortality, and you do think, well, what if it happened to me?
We all go through dying, death and grieving. They're part of the warp and weft of life, and we need to be able to support each other. The worst thing that happens, and you hear this so often, is when people say, oh, well, people were crossing the road to avoid me. They weren't being unkind, they just didn't know what to say. So bringing it out into the community is saying it's all right to talk about dying and death.
We look after children with life-limiting and life-threatening conditions from the age of 0 to 18. People don't expect their children to die before them, but sadly it does happen. And I think it's important that people are aware of that, and that we all start talking more openly about death and the support that's out there, because you might not know that there's so much, as you can see today, there's so much support for people in that situation.
My experience of death really is in Ireland with my grandparents, and I think they do death a lot better over there, and that's why I brought Rory today. And he's been asking about, he's only 4, but he's been asking about death and where do people go. And in Ireland they talk about it a lot more, and they celebrate it a lot more as well.
Knowing what your choices are and having some input into those choices can only be a good thing. I think it's better than everybody keeping tight-lipped about it and refusing to acknowledge that it's ever going to happen. As my auntie says, we're all in the queue, we just don't know when we're going to get to the front.